So if you saw the title, I'm asking the question, if you are a high IQ, deep thinking, introverted person, will you do the impossible and decide to dare to stay human? That's the question I'm asking. If you think you might say yes, then I hope you'll take a deep breath and stay with me through the graphics, and I will see you on the other side.
And I've been putting out fire.
So why am I calling out people who are high IQ, deep thinking, and introverts? Well, what I've noticed over time, or my time here on YouTube, is those are the type of people that actually understand what the heck I'm talking about and why I'm here. And I added that dare to stay human, because to me that's the most important question we're all being faced with at this particular moment in our world and in our life. And I call it daring to stay human because I think it's a really tough call in our world today, especially because there's absolutely no positive reinforcement system to do just that. One of the things that I've noticed that happens is people who like to think deeply, who tend to be pretty intellectual and also introverted. If you're like me, you tend to isolate. There's kind of a lone wolf, separate out of society kind of thing that goes on. And I don't mean to laugh through that because it's not funny. It has its pros and its cons. But one of the hardest and most difficult things that my experience has been with that is that usually in your immediate community, there's just not a lot of people to talk about the kinds of things that you probably like to talk about. And so I thought the best way to kind of root some of us out is to just put it in the title, say hi, and say if this is something that you're interested in, I just want you to know how important you are. And my background is in social work and as therapist, so it's really in the psychology, the physical, the mental, emotional, spiritual components of self. And I've been up, down, and all around with all aspects of that, and I've spent a lifetime of study. And one of the things that I took away from everything that I've done is that real change occurs with the people who think most deeply, that get zero credit. So all the people who are kind of sitting around in the middle of nowhere having a complex discussion in their mind about big ideas, it's easy to feel like that might not have any value. And it really isn't even to the last couple years that I knew it was a legitimate thing. I mean, I just never thought about it, right? That there aren't as many women as men. More men have this combination than women do. But most of us, unless you're a paid professional to do this kind of thing, you just sort of do it on your own time and you don't think a lot about it. But I really have gotten in touch with how important it is, because it is the leading edge of thought, and no change occurs until it's an idea. And that idea does a couple things. It's not just when it comes into form, but it's also when it goes back out into the ethers. And I think that's our real power, so that as you are a deep thinking individual on these big complex ideas about what's happening in our world today in a way that you're not going to see discussed in the mainstream, because that deep thinking comes way before the mainstream conversation. And so, on the bubble, on the bell curve, if you're way out on the front of the bell curve, by the time, the big peak of the bell curve is talking about an idea, that is so old and passé, it's boring. You don't want to be part of it. And it's easy to feel left out. And so I just wanted to do a little video saying hi, that I wanted to validate what you do in your own time, in your own way, that how powerful your part in our world and moving humanity forward is. And that I hope you're somebody who understands these ideas about when I talk about dare to stay human, how important it is that we make that decision. I can't make that decision for you, and you can't make that decision for anybody else. And that's probably the hardest part about people like us who think about things deeply, is that you can't convince anybody. And that's not our work. And it's really hard to let that go. So I just wanted to put this out there and say that it's a good thing that you're doing. It's a powerful thing. It's how the world and we as humans change. We move forward when we think deeply and powerfully about important things that lift humanity up. And the world falls apart when we don't think or we don't contribute to that thought conversation, that idea conversation, that imagination conversation that doesn't take place in person or with words or with symbols. It just takes place internally on, the waves that we all are connected at. I think it's really powerful. I don't think there's enough said about how important that is in a world that's become very loud, very opinionated, very righteous, very unwilling to listen, with a deep, deep need to be right about a belief system, without understanding that if a belief system doesn't change, you will die. That is the whole point, is to think our way out of this world and everything that we've created in it by moving thought forward. So just my shout to you. If you want to learn more, links are below. And with that, my friends, hey, maybe I'll see you next time.